Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Mitesh. Well, it's our 23rd birthday, so we have guests joining us from the Bombay Stock Exchange itself. And Hiren Ved has come up, Alchemy Capital Management. Hi, Hiren. Good to meet you as always.
Hi, Nigel.
Well, 2022 has been a decent year, given the kind of headwinds that we saw. The fear is that 2023 could be a little off. Are you in that camp that believes that maybe, in fact, we're in for a bit of a rough ride on 2023? And more importantly, what about the breadth of the market? It's not feeling like we're at 18,500 plus. Most portfolios are feeling like 17,000 odd. Comment on that.
So, thanks, Nigel. Thanks for having me here on this very important day. So, first of all, happy birthday to CNBC and to the entire team. You guys do a fantastic job. I think we've done quite okay given the headwinds that we've seen, right? 2022 has turned out to be great. You couldn't ask for more. We are almost at new highs, right? But you rightly said it doesn't feel like, because the breadth of the market in the last couple of months has not kept pace with the nifty, right? And I think it's very understandable, because if you really look at what's happened in the first half of the year, is that if you take the financials out, right? If you, let's say, take the top 500 companies in India, and if you take out the financials, while you've seen a very strong top-line growth, that's, you know, if my memory serves me right, it's up like 34-35%.
Yes.
But if you look at the bottom line, that's down 25%. And that's primarily because margins have got impacted. You know, you've at least seen a 500 basis point contraction on margins YOY, right? About 120 basis point quarter on quarter. And that's primarily happened because raw material prices went up, logistics costs went up. So in general, cost of goods went up, right? And we've seen that impact. And that's why the broader markets are not participating, you know, while Nifty is at new high. Now, if you go into 2023, my feeling is that companies have taken a price hike, right? Raw material and commodity prices are starting to come down.
Yeah.
So I think it is quite likely that some of the margins that were lost in the first half should come back in the second half, right? Also, the third quarter should turn out to be a reasonably good quarter. Because it's been a festive quarter, you know, anecdotally when we speak to retailers, you talk to people are out on the streets, they are enjoying, they're spending, right? And therefore, from a top line perspective, third quarter should be good. And some of the price hikes that companies have taken should start showing impact, right? And anyways, the fourth quarter of the year
is normally the best.
Is normally the best quarter. So I'm hoping that if the market sees an evidence that margins are coming back in the third quarter, then I think we should see the broader markets also catching up and participating with the Nifty. Right?
You know, that's a very valid point, Hiren, that you made. And in fact, in the past week itself, we had highlighted a few facts.
Yes.
On the Nifty 50, earnings growth is looking good, 7 to 9% odd for the past quarter.
Yes.
On the NSE 500, however, there's a degrowth on earnings of around 3 to 4%, and stripped of the banks and financials is down by 25%.
Yes.
But as you said, if we see good earnings in quarter 3, then things could look around. So that's pretty good.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you about two sectors.
Yes.
Or two themes. One is the consensus sell of the year, new age companies, and then the consensus buy of the year. That's been the banks and financials. Let's talk about the sells first. There appears, post this price correction, some of those themes have started looking interesting. We have disclosures on the BSE itself. Are you in the camp that believes that some of these stocks that have corrected big time, now there is gradual value, or, you know, for a longer term, you could play it?
You're absolutely right, Nigel. I think that, you know, I still remember when I was asked this question when we were in that peak of euphoria in the end of 21, early 22, when all these IPOs were coming.
Right.
And I said, well, if these companies don't focus on profitability and cash flows, the investors will send them to the Stone Age from New Age, right? And that's exactly what's happened.
Right.
I think a combination of rising interest rates and the fact that investors are now putting a premium on near-term profitability and cash flows means that there has been a steep valuation correction in these companies.
Yes.
And they've gone from becoming, darlings and, want to participate to like completely ignored.
From darlings to heartbreakers.
Exactly, right? So I think from a purely sentiment perspective, it definitely makes sense to look at these companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think also what has happened is that many of these managements have realized that they need to focus on their capital allocation. They need to clearly communicate and show that there is a path to profitability.
Right.
And I think that's beginning to happen. So if you see, most of these guys are giving guidance that, okay, I'll become profitable in so-and-so quarter. Somebody is saying I'm going to be, cash flow positive in so-and-so quarter. So now investors are going to hold you to it and see how the progress happens, right?
Right.
So I think if you are a long-term investor, I think now is the time to start looking at some of these names, if not all, seriously, because somewhere down the line you'll get a very good entry point.
Okay, all right. So some of these companies are offering value, and maybe from new age to stone age. Now, in fact, value is emerging yet again, and markets have their way, right, of teaching everyone a lesson. And sometimes that lesson you learn, you'll never ever forget. And it appears some of those companies, going by the management talk, they're talking what the shareholders want to listen to, and maybe the directions as well will be in that manner. So that's pretty good news.
But they have to walk the talk.
Walk the talk, very important, absolutely.
Yes.
But Hiren, what about the other one? The consensus buy, banks, particularly PSU banks. What a rally they have had.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best performing index this year, the PSU banking names.
Yes.
Have they done their run? But if the economy is going to recover and things are going to look up, then banks is a safer way of playing it, right? What's your take? 2023 with regard to the banks?
I think banks will continue to have a good run, right? And I think that, but I must mention that you will still see margins doing very well this quarter. Last year was also, last quarter was also very good. This quarter should be good. But I think from Q4 and then Q1 of next year, there should be some pressure on NIMs because deposit rates are starting to go up, right? And therefore, but I don't think that's going to be a challenge broadly, because I think they can still, show very decent double-digit compounding growth. Credit costs are still very, very benign. The economy should pick up. And, we are seeing very strong credit growth, right? 17% system credit growth is nothing to scoff at, right? And as the investment cycle picks up, right, you will start to see loan demand also coming in from the large corporates. So it's not just going to be retail credit-driven growth.
Corporate capex,
but it's also corporate capex which will sign in. So I think banks should still have a reasonably good run, in my view.
Okay, all right, Hiren. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for coming down and having a chat with us on our big day. That's our 23rd birthday. And you can join us for the party later as well.
Sure. Thank you so
guys,
much.
big takeaways then from what Hiren says is that the earnings for the NSE 500 companies, they could pick up. If that happens, then maybe the breadth of the market will improve. There is some value emerging with regard to these new age themes. And banks, well, they could see some compression on NIMs, but things are pretty much looking up. I'll toss it back to you all, but we'll be getting another guest. Amisha Vora as well will be joining in just a bit.
Okay, it's a power-packed show.